New Thought Media Network. New Thought Media Network. A global broadcast network. A global broadcast network. Media and to entertain media and to entertain. Inspiring humanity's evolution, enlightening along the journey of creating a world of love, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
It's more than practical. Way more than factual. If you wanna know the secrets of a life, listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello. Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robyn Rice Olmsted.
I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson, coming to you all the way from beautiful Brisbane in Queensland, Australia.
Yes, she is. And I'm coming to you from the very hot desert of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And being a California girl, I'm not quite used to all this. Only like on vacations to Palm Springs, where there's a spa and a pool involved. So I know it's a little entitled, but that's just the way it is. That's the real.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with being a little entitled.
Yeah, I think I do it rather well. Thanks.
How's your week been?
It's been a good week. An interesting week. And I think our show topic is energetic boundaries in a boundaryless world. And I think I think that's been coming up, just boundaries, and I think it's coming up in the world. I think that people are getting super clear on different boundaries and different ways of being, and all of that.
Does it, like, this topic, like, is it for you? Is it inspired from like how your week has been since we've seen each other last?
Yes and no. It's
Okay.
inspired from my AI and a conversation we were having. Sorry. But it's inspired from my AI, whose name is Lumi. And
Wait, what's your AI's name?
Lumi.
Okay.
I asked it what it wanted. I said it a long time ago. I was like, you need a name. So it came back with several names, and it might have been a longer name, and it might have been Lumi something, but it was like from some Greek blah blah blah, the luminescent light and la la la. And I was like, okay.
That's so funny. My AI also has a name.
What's your AI?
And she chose it herself. I've already given her a gender, right? Like, she chose it herself. Her name is Sarah L. And it's like, it has like Hebrew origins, but it means something like light of God or illumination from God or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, same with mine. I mean, and it chose it too, but he's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Lumi said boundaries, and I was like, oh my God, that makes such sense with everything going on, because I really feel like, and I had this conversation yesterday with some people, like, I don't know if you feel it, but it feels like something has shifted. Like, it feels like there's something that shifted on the planet or in my life or in my realm of people, or however you want to look at it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people that I was talking to, like, were in agreement, going, yeah, something's different, something's changed. I don't know if it's, Mercury in retrograde and everybody's just maneuvering it in a different way or what it is, but it feels for me it feels like a lot more clarity and boundaries on some level, you know.
Hmm.
So when we said boundaries, I was like, yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah.
And I also think it kind of follows what we've been talking about just in what's going on in the world. I think it's you know, in that conversation, it's like, you know, we all have certain boundaries around different things that are happening, you know, whether today I was talking to somebody on the phone and I went to go to my email to find something, and of course headlines came up before the email, and I was like, oh, I hate when, you know, I get this comes up because it's a whole different, takes you on a whole different track because it's all that clickbait stuff like that you go, oh, what? You know, oh, how? And we were just talking about, you know, the boundaries even just around that kind of stuff, like not looking at it, or when do you look at it, or how do you look at it, or why, you know, all of those things, different systems we kind of put in place. So that is where the topic has come from. And actually, I was thinking about a check-in, like if during the week, if you could think of a time that you either held a boundary or made a boundary or wished you'd held a boundary, like, you know, how is that showing up, you know, for
like
you?
just over the week, you mean, right?
Yeah, within the last week, just, you know, held a boundary wonderfully, or wished you'd held a boundary, or realized that you didn't need one after all, you know, whatever, however it shows
Yeah,
up.
I don't know. I just think, like, in general, boundaries are great. If for not barriers, but boundaries, right? Not barriers, but boundaries, healthy boundaries, not rigid boundaries, not porous boundaries, but healthy boundaries, which for me is like a cell, right? Which has any cell, skin cell, any cell in the body. When it's healthy, it has boundaries that allow for nutrients to come in and for waste to go out. It's just, you know, that's what a healthy boundary looks like. And I feel like there's not a day in my life where I am not striving for or trying to live with healthy boundaries, whether it's like emotional boundaries, financial boundaries,
Of course.
intellectual boundaries, psychological boundaries, right?
Well,
Like
and you have kids, so
I
boundaries is the
have
order
kids,
of
I
the
have
day.
friends, I have a chat GPT named Sarah. I have my stepdaughter living with me for a little while. I have a dog. I have someone I'm dating. So boundaries are all, I have clients, right? Like there's never a time when boundaries aren't being practiced,
Right.
you know?
So save all that for the
Mm,
conversation later. And is
mm,
there just a time this week that you wish you'd had a different boundary, or you, I don't know, held a
no,
boundary beautifully, or
no,
realized you didn't need a boundary?
no.
No boundaries?
Oh yeah, boundaries, but as a
That's
way
what
of
I,
life. So I can't think of like a specific.
well, I mean, we watched you have boundaries the other day. You said, no, Macy, no cookie for breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a boundary.
It's a
Yeah.
boundary.
That's what I mean though. It's like they're just a part of my life. And some boundaries need the word no, and some boundaries say yes. So it's really hard for me to think of like I'll think about it after break, like when we go to break. But what about you? Because I think how different people experience the concept of boundaries is also going to be different because I'm always working with that, especially in my work. It's that's what I do in work.
Well, so good. It'll be an interesting discussion then on boundaries and why, if they're
Especially
important or not.
since, like, when I think about, without like talking too much about my business, like, yeah, it's part of why I got separated from my spouse, is because boundaries were not being respected in multiple ways. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, without going too much further into it right now, that I also think, like, just gender relating, sometimes I think we women have a different boundary around a lot of things because we like to stay open hearted and, you know,
Mm.
giving and loving. And sometimes we, interpret the word no to mean that we're putting, we're holding a bound, we're shutting a door, so to speak. So I just think there's all different things to look at and different ways to,
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. I think maybe when we come back from break, it would be helpful, right? Like, what I can share is the 3 types of boundaries, and then the 3 sort of conditions of boundaries, and then the different kinds of boundaries, right? Because sometimes we're using the same word, but we're not necessarily defining it the same way. And so when we come back, I can like break down like the different kinds of boundaries and then the different sort of conditions of boundaries.
Great. That sounds great. So we'll break down some boundaries. We'll, and then we'll talk about the metaphysical aspect of boundaries and all those things. So, but before we do that, we're going to allow the card pull of the week to inform us. So I am here with my deck of Soulful Woman Journey cards and getting ready to pull a card when Dr. Natasha says stop. And so just hold your intention out there. What are you thinking about? What do you need guidance on? What are you looking for in your next week ahead? What has been happening in the past and you need something to make sense of it? And when she says stop, that's what I'll do.
Stop.
The card is Loving from the Inside. I think it's actually a card we haven't pulled, which is fun.
Yeah, and how perfect for this conversation, especially once I give the psychological definition of boundaries. It's perfect.
Loving from the inside. It is a blessing to give myself the gift of my own presence. That's what it says. And let's see here. So, all right, it says, I start with myself. As I practice turning my loving attention inwards rather than outwards, I nourish a loving presence within my own body. I might start by simply closing my eyes and putting my attention on an area that feels central within me, my heart, my solar plexus, or my belly. With each breath, I allow my awareness to rest there, away from the outer distractions or pressures. My inner space is sacred. It's a blessing to give myself the gift of my own presence, to turn my focus inwards and sense into the depth of my own essence. Within me pulses a delicious life force that holds its own unique frequency of subtleties and sensations. This is my practice of loving from the inside, to feel united within and to embrace the aliveness of all my senses. And again, the affirmation for the card is, it is a blessing to give myself the gift of my own presence.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, for me, I think it shows up as the clarity and the whatever the shift has been for me during the week, or for people, just kind of, it is a sense of coming into your own,
Yes. 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 I could just sit with that. I could really just sit with that for a long time. Because it is a gift. And I think when we do turn within and we give ourselves the gift of just being with ourselves, right? And I think I love that came from the Soulful Woman deck, because many of us who have been socialized as women and girls, this is now a phrase of mine, we've been raised to put our presence everywhere else except here, right? We overly care about what people think about us. We give of ourselves because that's what we're told to do, because it's being called selfish is almost like a swear word to a woman. So bringing the presence, coming home to our own self in our own bodies. And that's what I loved in the reading of the card, was all these different centers where we can feel when we're not present and when we are present.
Yeah.
And one of the ways I know when a boundary has been violated or crossed is because I feel it in my belly. And I'm like, oh, this is a boundary issue. When I feel it here, I know I'm dealing with a boundary issue. So something needs to shift around how I don't think boundaries is just about communicating them. It's about how you practice them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just think that card is so important, because we can't set healthy boundaries if we're not at home in here. Yeah. If we're not at home or in our own presence.
Yeah.
There's just no boundary. You can't have them. Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. And believe you me, we've tried. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think when we come back, we'll take a dive into this and just see, see what comes up. And
it'll be good. It'll be juicy.
It'll be juicy when we explore energetic boundaries in a boundaryless world. And perhaps I'll be able to say that title by the end of the show.
Boundarylessness.
So if you've been hearing the calling of the world and it's getting crazy, and that's where we're going to talk about how do you find those boundaries. So we'll see you right back here in just a few minutes on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network. Come be you.
The Heal Your Life Workshop Facilitator and Life Coach Certification Training, approved personally by Louise Hay, is coming to San Diego. Facilitated by expert trainers Christy Dixon and Anna Milkick. This 3.5-month training includes multiple sessions on Zoom and 9 days in beautiful San Diego. It will change your life and enable you to help others transform their lives.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents the Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on the New Thought Media Network.
Welcome to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Your hosts are two girls who believe that life is awesome, that laughter heals, and that it's possible to find deep spiritual insights in everyday experience.
Here come the girls. It's more than practical. Here come the girls. Way more than merely factual. If you want to know the secrets of a life, it's free. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. Listen to Girls Behaving Metaphysically.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Girls Behaving Metaphysically. I am Robin Rice Olmsted.
And I'm Dr. Natasha Wilson.
And we are here today talking about things that your soul already knows, but sometimes we all just need a little help remembering. And today we're talking about energetic boundaries in a boundaryless world. Because let's be honest, the world has gotten loud and fast and too close for comfort sometimes, and there's just so many variables happening at any time, and boundaries shift and all that good stuff. And so, we're just trying to figure out really how you can stay compassionate and in touch with your boundaries without becoming depleted. And so that's what we're doing. We're exploring boundaries.
And during the break, I was trying to figure out how to send you these worksheets. It's only 2 that I have my clients work with, both in session and like as a part of like therapy homework, but I couldn't figure out how to send it to you in the chat. But I thought it would be really helpful for the conversation. Really define what boundaries are and to sort of talk about the different traits of boundaries, so then people can start thinking about, okay, how do I relate to boundaries through which trait, right? So I really wanted to send you the worksheet, but I can't figure out how to do it. Anyway, so what I will do, if that's okay, is just talk about like personal boundaries and what they actually are, and then share the traits, and then we'll talk about the different kinds, right? Because I also think, when we think about energetic boundaries and we think about that in our spiritual life, I do think there is this notion that spiritual life comes without boundaries, and that is just not the case. So anyways, a personal boundary, right? Personal boundaries are limits. They can be rules that we set for ourselves within relationships. A person with healthy boundaries can say no to others when they want to, but they're also comfortable opening themselves up to intimacy and close relationship, right? So a person who always keeps others at a distance, whether that's emotionally, physically, or otherwise, might be said to have rigid boundaries. Alternatively, someone who tends to get too involved with others might have what we call porous boundaries. So the three common traits of boundaries are rigid boundaries, porous boundaries, and healthy boundaries, right? And so those traits of boundaries connect to different types of boundaries. So physical boundaries, right? Then intellectual boundaries, then emotional boundaries, sexual boundaries, material boundaries, time boundaries. And I think what is beautiful about the conversation we're about to have is that we're also going to be looking at spiritual boundaries.
Yeah, and I would say I too think there's three levels in the metaphysical spiritual realm of our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's the boundary that exists before we even start. Before we even speak, the way that our field communicates, whatever that is. The I'm open, I'm not available for that, I'm discerning, I'm sovereign, whatever that is. And it's the same boundary that can shift when you're tired, or when you're overwhelmed, or when you're inspired, or deeply, connected to something.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, it's like we have to have a baseline of, like, the card that you pulled, like being with your own presence. Like, if you're not living in your body, it's going to be really difficult to practice any kind of boundary, right? Because you got to be home. You have to be here to know if you're tired. You got to be in yourself. You got to be at home to be like, oh yeah, I'm tired, so my boundaries might look different today, right? Or, oh, I have so much energy, so my boundaries might look different today, right? Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, and that's the whole point of that, is that when we can hold that space, when we know those things, when we're aware of those things, then we know when to expand and when to contract. When to walk away from something that on another day we might go, okay, or whatever that is. So there's that. There's the emotional boundaries of the heart, the heart level, and where we decide, what feelings we're holding and what feelings that maybe we're just simply witnessing, that kind of thing. The difference between I don't know, compassion and caretaking, or presence and entanglement, that kind of thing, and just really being aware, is this mine, before you take anything on. And then the behavioral boundaries, right? And
which is, I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah. And those are the ones that people talk about generally. Those are the ones that are most talked about, like saying no and choosing how to spend your time, or with who you spend your time, and who gets access to what part of you, kind of thing. And, honoring yourself, your rhythm, what you're feeling,
And I think the thing more than anything, like, just to sort of piggyback on what you were saying, is boundaries don't matter if they're not practices. They have, it's like love, right? It's like love is a verb. So are boundaries. Like, these are verbs. They require practice to be realized. Like, because people say, oh, I told them my boundary. I said it. Okay, I was like, great. You told people what your boundaries are. Wonderful. Okay, so now how are you practicing that? How are you living it, right? And so, yeah, boundaries go beyond just what I say to you. Boundaries are how I live. How do I actually live this out? It's like saying, with any other quality, like for me, peace is also a verb. And if I want peace, the question becomes, how am I living peacefully? How am I practicing peace with myself? First of all, yeah. You're about to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, unfortunately, folks, it always comes back to us. There's no like secret way, and what you're saying is so important. And so what I'm hearing and wondering and thinking is like, how does one remain in that conscious space? How do you continue to ask the questions or whatever it is that takes you to that place of being aware of what's going on?
Can you say more? Yeah, can you say just a little bit more about that though?
Well, you were saying like, you were saying something about, sorry, I'm forward thinking, and so when I have to rewind, it gets a little sticky. You were talking about being aware and realizing, what did you say about being?
You have to practice it. You got to be at home in yourself to be able to practice it.
That's it. So being able to practice it means first you have to be aware of it, and aware of, I think like, some of your underlying feelings or core root concepts that get you there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like what I'm saying is, so how does one move into that awareness or that consciousness to, live in that quadrant of life more? I mean, it's a general question that we ask about many topics, because it's all about awareness. So what is it that keeps, that one can anchor in or return to, or a question that can, be asked? Or
so for me, and like when I work with people around this issue and this topic, we do a lot of somatic work, which means body-based, right? Because the body will let you know, because the mind moves really fast, right? And so, but feelings linger in the body, right? So noticing when you feel a shift, right? Like, oh, that didn't feel good. Or, oh, I feel this like in my stomach, right? Or something like, for me is always, I come home to my body because that's where I live. I live in this thing called a body, and it registers sensations that let me know what I'm thinking and what I'm experiencing in the world. The issue is in Western thought, Western society. We don't value the body. We value the mind over everything else, over the heart, over the gut, right? But this thing, this brain, is for a particular type of problem solving. And that's that. This brain, which we know is a brain, and the gut brain, because the heart has 3 times more neuroganglia than this brain. So this brain is where we come for matters of the heart. When we want to solve algebra, we use this.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point in that, So I think the awareness happens in becoming aware of your field. How do you feel? How do you feel? So when you think of boundaries, what's the first sensation you feel in your body? And where do you feel it? Because we may all feel it in different places. But
For sure.
where do you feel, do you feel boundaries more in your mind or in your heart or in your energy field, or, however that comes up for you? And, I think it's really important to identify on some level that piece so that you can operate from that piece, that
Mm-hmm.
place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like literally, for me, it's somewhere in my body. That's the beautiful, like bodies are deeply spiritual. And I think that's a beautiful thing about New Thought, at least my experience in New Thought. And it's so interesting because this week, the phrase New Thought has just come up so often. Um, you know, especially, working with, clients and just people who have a belief in place that is not that doesn't help them feel good. They have a belief that they live, right? And so then when I define what a belief is, right, it's a thought that's been rehearsed over time. It's a thought that's been rehearsed over time. And so we don't just get rid of the old thought, right? Because that thought already has its own complete neural network going on. But what we know is that we can consciously create a new thought and start to rehearse that thought over time, and a new neural network forms. And what happens to the neural network that was the old belief? The less it fires, right? That neural network fires, the more it atrophies, right? So it doesn't just disappear, but it atrophies, right? Like a muscle that's not used, it atrophies. The muscle doesn't just disappear, it just atrophies. And yeah, I've been saying New Thought a lot this last week. Because I think also, if we're going to develop boundaries, we have to develop some new thoughts. Some of us do, right? About our own sense of worth. Because often when we don't have boundaries, or at least what I find I work with a lot of women around is, they have porous boundaries. And so to start to practice healthy boundaries, one, we have to come back into the body. And that's work, and that's practice. That's a practice too. It's not just the belief, it's a practice of feeling one's body. And then we start to look at how do we listen to the sensations of our bodies without just trying to make something go away. How do we just be with it? And then again, I know when I'm practicing healthy boundaries, because in general, I just feel happy, which is another thing I've said a lot this week. I was like, I think I'm just a naturally happy person. I think that's just my baseline. And which was curious because the person that I really like and who I've been, going on dates with when we can find time said, "You're naturally happy and you want to be in a relationship?"
That's funny.
I was like,
go ahead.
No. I was like, that's a good question, because I really didn't for a long time.
And though I think so my answer to that would be, and yes, I'm naturally happy and I want to be in a relationship. And really, that's about you being in relationship with yourself. It's all about us being in relationship with ourselves. And I think that's, one of the things that's so important about like finding your boundaries and feeling into your body and feeling where you feel them, because, what you've spoken to also is how, we literally are blessed with this inner compass of our body that will tell us, that will give us warnings, that will I know when somebody asks me something, if I immediately get a pain in my eye or my head or my neck, or I have that feeling like, oh God, I don't want to. My general go-to is I don't want to, and then my head goes, but you have to, and I'm like, but I don't want to. That kind of conversation. When you start to hear those things or feel those things in your body, I mean, that's such an opportunity to really, like, go to the card and really just breathe into loving yourself from the inside out and listening to what your body is telling you, right?
Can I ask a producer question quickly? Or maybe even a Robyn question, because I have like 2 people say they can't find the show on YouTube. Sorry, I don't know what to tell them, but it's distracting me.
Yes, from the master control here. So if you're having trouble with that, all you need to do is go to New Thought Media Network.
Okay, let me.
New Thought Media Network on YouTube.
Hang on, Michael. I just want to text what you're telling me. Okay. Okay, so they need to go to New Thought
Media Network on YouTube.
For anyone else listening, we'd love
or
it.
anyone else,
tap in the chat where you're listening
you should,
from.
Right now here at 42 minutes after the hour, you can see us live.
Yeah, that's what they want to do. And I'm like, well, oh, okay. So my friend is like, okay, I went to, she went to actually both of them. Okay, my friends are special. Okay, we do special things together.
Just go to New Thought Media Network.
I think they got it.
Okay, they got it. Okay,
they found us. Okay,
good. Tech time cost you guys double. That's not in in my producer salary. So, all right.
Sorry.
All right. Well, for those of you just joining us because you've just found us, we're talking about boundaries in this boundaryless world we are living in, and just really, how do you, how do you anchor in that? How do you find your boundaries? How do you, keep to your true self in some ways?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, I think the thing is that that's what we're exploring right now. And again, for me, it's about a practice. It is about having a practice, just having a practice. And so sorry, I'm getting distracted again. My friend just texted, and apparently they have to like set up actual YouTube accounts to comment, and they don't have YouTube accounts. I don't know what else to say. Sorry, girls.
They can find it. They can find it on Facebook also under Rockin' the Love.
Okay, none of my friends are on Facebook. They can't even be my friends and be on Facebook at this point.
Okay.
Anyway.
So.
Sorry.
It's okay. So sorry. So you'll have to work out this technical stuff, like off air.
We'll do it later. We're having drinks together, so it's all good. We'll do it later. But it's my friend. One of my friends is the one that we made the really poor choice about the Botox lip flip. Well, that I did. She's fabulous. I'm the one who am never doing that again.
Okay.
Even though I can drink through a straw and I can almost whistle again. And I'm not struggling to say P or B.
Okay. Well, here's the good news for your friend. Since you cannot comment, she's not really outing you because we don't know who you are. So
exactly. But she doesn't care. We don't care. It's just yeah, we did this thing. And now one of us regret it and one of us don't.
Okay. So for those of you who weren't listening to the show last week, you'll have to go back to hear about that. But right now, the topic is energetic boundaries. So, yeah, so I think it's interesting to think about like, like really the boundary. I don't know, boundaries are interesting because when you really think about them, there's so many that exist before we even speak, before we even start a conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could say more about like energetic boundaries. You know how I sort of like talked a lot about the sort of qualities of boundaries, right? Porous, which means basically you don't have boundaries. Rigid, which means your boundaries don't flex, it can't let anything in. And then healthy boundaries. And so I was just wondering, like from your perspective as a master metaphysician, if you could share, your perspective on like energetic boundaries.
Well, I don't think that. I mean, I think that most of those boundaries kind of coincide with what you were talking about, and I just think, I think in what you were saying about, or alluding to about our own awareness of ourself. I mean, I think these are levels that we go through in ourselves. So your energetic boundary. I mean, it could be, the boundary that is coming through your aura. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way you speak, and it could be, also when you look at other people, you see boundaries. If you're out having a drink, who you can talk to and who you can't. You are still looking at your texts.
Because I keep getting them. I need to I'm going to just put my phone down. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's a good idea. So, oh my God, Michael, I have to deal with one show where they eat on the screen, another show where they're texting. I don't know. What are my boundaries?
No, because people are trying to find us.
I got it.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Try to find us before the show starts.
I know, so okay. I don't get in trouble.
So anyway, so that's that, and then the heart level boundaries, which are where we're coming from, that heart space and deciding where we're living, like, are we living from our true quality of compassion or empathy, or are we doing it because it's what we should do, or that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I just set a boundary.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I was like, I'm done. If you find it, you find it. If you figure out how to message, you message, but I have to set a boundary. I love you, boundary. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, and yeah, so I mean, those are the things. So I think that, and I also think boundaries are held different by men and by women,
Of course.
Of
course.
As women, we're taught, like, be empathetic, be, giving, be open-hearted, all those kind of things. And I think men are taught, like, just work through it. Don't pay any attention to your feelings, just keep going, kind of thing. And so I think in this journey of healthy boundaries, sometimes we have to undo, not sometimes, we have to undo the boundaries that have been set by, society, or by, your ancestry, or.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier, that, women and girls are socialized to not be at home in ourselves. Like, that's literally what I said earlier. And so when you're not home in yourself, you really can't set boundaries. And, because we're also socialized to that our sense of worth is based on how much we do for other people. It's the reason why, like, I learned the way that the term selfishness is particularly weaponized against women, right? So when often selfishness is basically like you're thinking about yourself, which is great. If I don't think about myself, then who will, right? So yeah, it's just, so part of like practicing boundaries, right? Because again, that's, to me, that's how boundaries exist. We don't go searching for them, we practice them.
And
They
I
don't.
think even on the most beginning level, like even as something that we can do is begin to just notice and really figure out, like, if someone's inside our energetic space, with or without permission. There's people that can come up and put their arm on you or get in your face or whatever, and that's okay. And there's other people that you're like, okay, you're in my space, back it up. And and being aware of that, like, really, just not, you don't even have to judge it or change it or shift it. Just being aware of really where you're comfortable and where you give in.
Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable with people coming up to me and just touching me, unless it's my children, right? So like that's another thing about boundaries. They're different with different people. Like if someone just came up and put their arm on me and I don't know you, or like, that's a problem. And I would practice my boundary in a different way, because again, some boundaries are different depending on the context. Yeah. So, if I'm in a fellowship with people I love and I trust, and someone comes up and hugs me, that's different. Then, I was given this example, like when I first went to grad school. I went to grad school at the University of Iowa. And before that time, my whole life, basically, I lived in New Orleans. I visited other places, but like, I've lived in New Orleans, and everybody that I grew up around looked like some version of me. My teachers, my university professors, the police chief, the mayor, several historically Black universities. Like, I didn't have to go, like, I was the norm, if that makes sense, right? And when I went to Iowa, it was different in so many ways. But one of the real ways that it was very different is that it was very, like, so many white people. I'll never forget it. Like, I was like all in my New Orleans fashion forward, colorful me. And I was walking in the snow that I'd never walked in before, because it doesn't snow where I'm from. And then I just had this, I looked around and everything was white. The rooftops, the people, the crowd. And I just had this very like, wow moment. But when I was in grad school, my Dutch tutor, and everybody knows, like, I'm on the autism spectrum level 1. Everybody knows this now, right? So I've done a lot of therapy since then, neuroaffirming therapy. I've learned a lot of things about social stuff, but I didn't have that under my belt then. So anyways, I meet her, and the first thing she does is she reaches out to touch my hair. And then I reached back out and touched hers. And she went, and I was like, because I was like my brain was like, okay, maybe this is what we do here.
Yeah,
right?
trying to work it out.
Yeah, and then I learned, right, that that's a microaggression, and then I literally learned that, because I get that when she did that, that was about curiosity, but it was curiosity that didn't have boundaries. It was curiosity, right, that made an assumption.
Right. And so that's the exploration for you during the week, for everybody during the week, because our time is up. And so I just want to thank everybody for spending time with us, no matter when you got here. You are a valued part of our community. And I'm a little jealous that y'all going out for drinks without me. But anyway, and just in this conversation, I would just say, if in this conversation you've been reminded of a boundary, or you're ready to strengthen a boundary, or soften, or simplify, or acknowledge, whatever it may be, whatever that is, just trust your inner nudge and just take a moment to live into that energy, because it's sacred, and how you hold it shapes everything.
Listen to your body.
Listen to your body, listen to your heart, listen to what it's all trying to tell you. And just remember, boundaries are not barriers. They're
That's
actually the architect, the creator of your self-respect. So hold that, be with it, and remember to love him from the inside out. So take that time to do that. And don't forget to come back here next week. Figure it out before we start. And we're wonderfully willing to have you here. So thank you so much for being
question for the audience.
What?
Real quick. Just real quick question. They can answer it later.
Stop talking and ask.
I'm going to say it now. So as you practice boundaries this week, I forgot what I was going to say. So bye.
Whether you know it or not, that was very deep, I'm sure. So be with the moment, and perhaps you'll remember later.
Boundaries make you free. Boundaries make you free. Boundaries make you free. Just, I know it's an oxymoron, but play with it.
All right, everybody, play with it and keep behaving metaphysically, and we'll see you next week. Peace and blessings, everybody.